What's up, everyone on the internet? Thank you for making this video a part today. I am so excited about this one for you guys because for this video, we're going to be taking a look at the crossover that blew my mind as a kid. Alien versus Predator. Okay, funny thing is that before I saw Predator, before I watched Alien, it was this film that was my gateway into sci-fi horror, and holy crap, this movie delivered on bringing out two of the most iconic movie monsters and making them fight to the death. So anyway, this movie came out back in 2004, and when you look at the tagline, it just screams horror. Whoever wins, we lose. Damn, I wish movies would bring back taglines, and after doing a bit of research, this movie came out a year after Freddy vs. Jason. But like I said, this movie came out back in 2004, and one of the things that I loved about the story was how it throws a lot of lore at you when you see how the aliens and predators have been battling each other for centuries. Now, I know that Ridley Scott has made it clear that these crossover movies are separate from his Alien films, and I understand sometimes kids like to play by themselves, but from what I got from this movie, it felt like the director and the writers had a blast with getting these two iconic sci-fi monsters to fight on screen. Just like how neighborhood kids get together and play with their action figures and create these convoluted storylines. But going back to the story, the movie takes place in present day where Weyland-Yutani has discovered an underground pyramid in Antarctica. And like most humans, the second we see something undiscovered, what goes through our mind? Dollar signs. And the movie hits the ground running as we assemble a group of archaeologists, geologists, explorers, and mercenaries to get to the pyramid before anyone else gets there first. But little did they know, they're being watched by the predators, and it doesn't take long for the aliens to get let loose, as this expedition soon turns into a fight for survival when these two monsters go toe-to-toe in an all-out battle between three predators and an army of aliens and an alien queen. Now, one of the things that I loved about this movie is the overall setting, because looking back at the Alien films, prior to this crossover, none of them were ever set on Earth, and when you look at the Predator movies, none of them were ever set in the cold. So I like how the movie sort of finds a way to bring these two monsters together. Obviously, I would prefer it if this movie had taken place on a different planet, but because we needed to have the humans in a difficult scenario, I understand why it had to be on Earth, because if we had this set in the future, the humans would have had a much of a better chance than what we had in this movie. But going back to the setting, I remember being mesmerized by the pyramid as we watched our human characters walk into this large ancient structure. And I love that this pyramid is more like a maze, because once you start seeing everyone get separated, it ultimately builds up the fear, because now that you're alone, you don't know who you're going to run into, the alien or the predator. Also, going back to the lore, I love how this story gives us a natural way in bringing these iconic monsters together, where thousands of years ago, the predators came to Earth and were worshipped as gods by the humans, who were then used to breed aliens in order to begin the ultimate hunt between the greatest hunter and the perfect organism. For me, I'm a sucker for deep history and mythology, so learning about the origin of this iconic rivalry was something that blew my mind as a kid. And when looking at the action that takes place throughout the entire movie, I would say that this movie is 90% action and 10% exposition. And most of the exposition mostly takes place at the beginning of the movie as a way to set the stage for when the action scenes take over for the rest of the film, which was something that a lot of critics nitpicked about, given how the human element isn't as strong as the monster element of the story. And I agree, when we look at a movie called Alien vs. Predator, we want to solely focus on these two monsters. But because neither of them have any speaking lines, we have to rely on the humans to help us give a better understanding of the situation. But even so, I still enjoyed watching these human characters try to survive in this pyramid while these two monsters do get out on screen. And I'll go as far as to say that the human element in this particular movie is far better than what we see in movies today. Now, I don't like to compare movies, but this is how you handle a monster movie crossover, where you make the humans have some sort of relevance in the story without making them too goofy. Obviously, I'm talking about the Monsterverse, which is very entertaining aside from the human characters in those films. Again, I get it. When you have movies involving Godzilla and Kong, we want to see these giant kaiju fight and destroy cities. And for the majority, I enjoy those films. However, we cannot deny that the human element is pretty cringing and sometimes embarrassing to watch when you see how some of these human characters go a little bit off the rails for when it comes to delivering comedic moments, as opposed to this crossover where pretty much most of the humans have some sense of logic. But then again, when looking at the story, the majority of the tone is centered around horror, so in a way, it sort of grounds our human characters and makes them a little more serious. However, despite the human story kind of taking us away from the action, it also helps us dive deep into the history of the monster aspect of the film. And like I said, from beginning to end, this movie feels a lot like someone was having fun with their Alien and Predator action figures as we get to watch these iconic horror monsters tear each other apart. So overall, I had a lot of fun with this film. And if you're looking for a good popcorn eating movie, I highly recommend you watch this film. Well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. That was my overall view on Alien vs Predator. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button so you can always update for this channel. I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye bye.